Hello and good evening. We are doing another review session. This is Antichrist 4, the fourth session in our study of the Antichrist, a biblical study of the Antichrist. Review of that. That session was done on November 17th, 2023. We are today, August 13th, 2025, reviewing it almost 2 years later. So as you see on screen, the Antichrist was first mentioned in Daniel 7, verse 8. But in that verse, he's just referred to as the little horn of the fourth beast. We know that this is the Antichrist, but if one were to just read that verse, one would be led to believe some grotesque monster had a horn that could talk. This is why we must study the word and cross-reference and use proper guides. Something else I want to add to: when people have visions that are recorded in the Bible, they are not literal. So it's not a literal animal or beast that Daniel saw. Even though the first three looked like a lion, a leopard, and a bear, he did not say it was a lion, it was like a lion, or it had the head of a lion, and stuff like that. So we understand that visions are not literal. Okay, so while Genesis tells us God created the earth in 6 days, well, he created everything in 6 days. That's a literal 6 day. It's a historical record. Here we see Daniel is having a vision, and visions are not literal, which is why in modern times, when you hear people, the new age geniuses, they want to walk around talking about biblically accurate angels. Those angels are seen in visions. They are not biblically accurate in terms of appearance. They are biblically accurate in terms of allegorical description. But that's another talk. So in all the readings so far, I've not seen a single time where the beast or the little horn was literally called the Antichrist. This means that all the talk and the mention of an Antichrist, capital A, has been a label that we were given from people who read and studied, just like the rapture, which was never called by that name. The Bible talks about things that we get names for today. And of course, some doubters will come and they will say the Bible never said this, and the Bible never said that, to cause us to question things. It's not wrong to question it, but when you discover the answers, then you're safe and you're okay. In terms of the names of the Antichrist, I took this from the Gospel Coalition. They gave us some help with it with reference verses. I don't recommend using the Gospel Coalition for everything, but they did give good reference verses for this back in 2023 when I looked at it. He's called the abomination that caused desolation in Mark 13:14. But when you see the abomination of desolation standing where he ought not to, let the reader understand, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Now we know that the abomination that causes desolation is an image of the Antichrist. It's not the actual Antichrist. It's an image of him. We here suspect, and this is speculation, that it is an android, an actual android that will be like him, or a holographic projection of some kind, or a machine of some kind, because I suspect that the abomination will be AI of some kind. But that's a speculation. We do know that the image of the Antichrist will stand in the temple. And this was a warning from Jesus in Mark. He's also called the man of sin, or the man of lawlessness in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction. That's the ESV. We can check the King James Version. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. We saw there he's called son of perdition, and he's called the son of perdition or destruction in 2 Thessalonians 2:3 as well. So that's another name: man of sin, man of lawlessness, and the son of perdition or the son of destruction. Perdition means destruction. I just want to say in this, the rebellion in the ESV, or the falling away of the King James Version, That is the grand apostasy. I call it the grand apostasy because it's going to be a great falling away of the church, where a ton of people in churches will leave. Don't get me wrong, everybody who stays in churches will not be saved either. But the great falling away, the apostasy that is to come, a lot of church people will leave the church, leave the faith, if you want to call it the faith, but they will cease being members of churches. What causes it was never said clearly, but there will be a lot of people leaving, and that is to come. He's called the little horn in Daniel 7:8, 7:20, 7:21, 7:24, and 26, and other places. The research for these names, of course, like I said, came from Gospel Coalition. Now, in all of this, the Antichrist talk, there's a 7-year peace treaty that we would speak about as well. Daniel 9:25 to 27 tells us of it. I'm going to give it the Good News Translation. I'm going to read the Good News Translation only because it'll be easier to read, right? Note this and understand it. From the time the command is given to rebuild Jerusalem until the God's chosen leader comes, 7 times 7 years will pass. Jerusalem will be rebuilt with streets and strong defenses and will stand for 7 times 62 years. But this will be a time of troubles. And at the end of that time, God's chosen leader will be killed unjustly. The city and the temple will be destroyed by the invading army of a powerful ruler. The end will come like a flood, bringing the war and destruction which God has prepared. That ruler will have a firm agreement with many people for 7 years. And when half this time is past, he will put an end to sacrifices and offerings. The awful horror will be placed on the highest point of the temple and will remain there until the one who put it there meets the end which God has prepared for him. This talks about a lot of things. We did a study of that 7 times 7, right? We did a study of that in the past. This talks of timing a few things, such as the death of Jesus, the destruction of Jerusalem 37 years after Jesus also predicted it, in relation to the command to rebuild the temple. In the King James, 7 weeks and 62 weeks. 62 is 62 and 769 weeks. The street will be built again after 62 weeks. 62 weeks is 62. This is 62 weeks. That's a period of 62 years given here in the GNT. But we know a week in the King James Version is 7 years. When we do this study of Daniel's 70 weeks, because Daniel speaks of 70 weeks, this is 69 of those weeks. The final week is he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. Given in the Good News Translation, he will have a firm agreement with many people for 7 years. This is the 1 week in the King James Version. So if you read the King James and you see 1 week, know that in Daniel's prophetic language, 1 week is 7 years. Okay? Just to give a little clarification there before we move on. We're almost done with this day. We get some details about this time. The army of the nation of the Antichrist will overwhelm Israel and bring destruction and desolation. There's a gap of more than 1,000 years before a ruler will make a 7-year peace treaty that we've spoken about before. Halfway through the 7-year period, he will walk into the rebuilt temple and abolish Jewish sacrifices and remain in power until God ends him. We're going to explore it more later. One of the past events that happened was a guy called Antiochus. In verse 26, we see the mention of what is a preview. Now we know it's a preview. I can tell you that clearly. At the end of that time, God's chosen leader will be killed unjustly. The city and the temple will be destroyed by an invading army of a powerful ruler. This is Antiochus. God's chosen leader is Jesus. This predicts Jesus' death, the destruction of the city and the temple by Antiochus. Is this? No, this would be Titus, not Antiochus. This is Titus. Antiochus came before. So now I get to put a little correction here. This would be Titus. Titus. Antiochus came before this to do something very similar to what the Antichrist will do. So I'm giving you all a little bit of this here. Antiochus Epiphanes basically assaulted Jerusalem, and he sacrificed a pig on the altar in the temple, which is abominable to God and to the Jewish people. That was a preview of what the Antichrist will do himself. He's not going to sacrifice a pig. He's going to set himself up in the temple as God himself and pretend to be God and say people have to worship him now. So while this was a very short session, it leaves us with a lot of questions, and we are going to see the answers to those questions further on, later on. We have a Cooper's Corner here. We've not seen a Cooper's Corner in a while in our current sessions because we keep missing it live, but we do have it entered in docs. Cooper's Corner 96, God blesses us so that his name may be feared at every corner of the world, for he is an impenetrable fortress which shall never be shaken. For those of you watching here on YouTube and or Facebook, I would like to say thank you very much for joining us in our study, our look back at, I thought this was 117. Oh no, November 17th, 2023 session of 40 days documented sessions where we studied our fourth installment in the Antichrist series. This brought up a lot of questions, but it answered a couple of things, that the Antichrist is going to have control for 7 years. And in the middle of that 7-year period, he's going to do something abominable in the temple by setting up his own image to be worshipped. And it's going to be in the middle of a 7-year peace treaty that he sets up with Israel. So keep that in mind. We have a lot more to study, a lot more questions to answer as we go through it. So thank you for watching. God bless you and keep you.